I thought, given the fact that we don't have a lot of opportunity to just talk in the next week or two, and the concern and media attention to this new variant coronavirus mutant in the UK, that we would talk about that today, and just what that means in terms of prospect for us. So in the news, as you may have seen, there's a tremendous amount of concern about this new variant of the SARS-CoV-2 virus that's been seen in the UK over the last couple of months. It goes by a variety of names. B117 is probably the easiest one to talk about, and it's a mutant form, or a variant form of the virus that has actually a number of different mutations, several in the spike protein, which is the surface protein, which is most prominently displayed on the outside of the virus. It's also responsible for the virus binding to human cells, the ACE receptor, and is also the target for our vaccine-induced immunity. All of our vaccines in the US are targeted against spike protein, so obviously mutations in this protein are at least theoretically concerning for its effect on vaccine-induced immunity. There are probably two most important mutations in the spike protein. One is this N501Y, which is a single substitution at position 501 that potentially imparts enhanced transmissibility, at least in some laboratory experiments. And then there's another deletion in the spike protein which changes a bit the conformation, which may affect antibody binding. It also happens to affect one of the 3 PCR targets that the Brits use for detection of the coronavirus, which is somewhat fortunate because it's allowed them to very accurately track where the virus is, even without genomic sequencing, which they also do more than any other country. But that's allowed them to get a little better understanding of the epidemiology of this. So you may have seen that Prime Minister Johnson mentioned that they think there's a 70% increase in transmissibility of this virus, but that is based on modeling alone. It is not necessarily based on true epidemiological data, and so I think everybody is taking that assessment with a grain of salt. Nevertheless, a couple of days ago, their advisory group for emerging respiratory virus threats got together and looked at all the evidence that they have so far, and essentially said they do think that there's probably an increase in transmissibility compared to other variants. And so essentially the jury's still out on how significant the increase in transmissibility is, and how responsible it is for the resurgence that the UK has seen over the last several weeks, but at least it's concerning. So the virus mutant was detected relatively recently in the southeast of England on September 20th. That was the first detection of this mutant. And since then, it's really become the predominant strain of coronavirus circulating, at least in London and in the south of the UK. So you can see by the middle of November, it accounted for a quarter of all the UK isolates. And now in mid-December, it's been accounting for more than 60% of the isolates that have been detected in London. As you can see here, this is from one of the major UK reference laboratories that does a lot of their high throughput testing. And this variant of the at least 501 S gene mutation, sorry, that's the other 6970 deletion mutation, now accounts for the vast majority of cases detected in that laboratory. And you can see that that's really only accelerated over about the past month. This variant has also been found in Denmark and Australia. It's thought to be exported from the UK. But the reality is that the Brits sequence much more than anybody else. In fact, about almost half of the genomic sequences of coronavirus in the world have come from UK laboratories. And so they just have a better handle on this than any other country. I think it's important. So again, we don't really know the transmissibility impact. We don't really know the impact on vaccine immunity, or whether it creates any additional risk of fatality. It does not appear that it is more lethal than other viruses, but this remains to be seen. I think it is important to keep this in context that these types of mutant variants have happened previously. These are RNA viruses, they mutate frequently, and either by chance or by competitive advantage, other specific mutants have arisen and have dominated epidemiology. So one is this D614G mutant that was initially detected in Europe and spread across the globe. As you can see here, the original Wuhan virus that was spread around the globe that originated in China had, the original amino acid or base at 614, and the mutant which arose probably in Europe in February became quickly the dominant mutant around the world by the end of March. This was also detailed in the US, where researchers from Houston reported the rise of this particular mutant back in the summer. I think we actually talked about this paper a couple of months ago, but this was the rise of this 614 mutant here, which caused the large outbreak in Houston. And it's thought that this particular mutant has enhanced transmissibility. There's evidence in cell cultures that it does, and also evidence in animal infections. And so the general consensus is that explains why this mutant became more prominent. But we know that this mutant does not appear to have any increased lethality over previous versions or the original wild type version of the virus. And we also know that the vaccine seems to work very well in protecting against this variant, because the vaccine sequence for the mRNA vaccines came from the original Wuhan virus, and most of the viruses in the US now are the 614 mutant, and obviously we're still getting 95% protective efficacy for the vaccine. So again, this goes, I think, just to demonstrate these types of mutations happen. They're going to continue to happen with this virus. It may be that transmissibility is enhanced. It's unlikely that vaccine immunity is going to be affected. And it's unlikely that, for now, it doesn't appear that this mutant is any more lethal. So we'll just have to wait and see how the epidemiology studies look and how they're able to characterize this. But again, something to keep an eye on, and certainly something to have some concerns about. So that's it. Thanks.